This is a 2024 Porsche Cayenne e-hybrid, the base hybrid for the heavily updated third generation Porsche Cayenne, which we first saw in 2019. And it's actually a plug-in hybrid with a 25.9 kilowatt hour battery pack and nearly 30 miles of electric only driving range. The hybrids above this one, the Cayenne S e-hybrid and the Cayenne Turbo e-hybrid, both get more power and goodies than this one, but it's the same electric motor and battery pack. But for this update, Porsche also played with the styling and the chassis, which begs the question, how well does this heavy, hybrid, family crossover SUV drive? It is still a Porsche. Let's find out. I review all kinds of cars and I have fun every time. Please subscribe and join me. The base price for the 2024 Porsche Cayenne is $86,695. Going hybrid raises that price to $99,195. And my test car did include several options and costs $113,145. Yeah, not cheap. With that, now is a good time for me to pull over and show you around and inside and under the hood of this Cayenne in a bit more detail and show you some of those options I'm talking about. Looking at the front of the Cayenne, Porsche did update the grille, hood, fenders, and the headlights. To me, the most noticeable is the grille. It's this nice big wide open space right here. I do also like these new cuts and shape in the hood line, and these fenders do come up and are just a little bit bolder now, accentuating a wheel arch just a little bit more. These new headlights are matrix designed LED headlights, and they are now standard on the Cayenne. This is a new hood with new cuts in it, and it does look sharp, but I still want to show you what's underneath it. Well, there it is, your turbocharged 3-liter V6 plug-in hybrid. As you can see, it is mostly covered by this big plastic shroud. The center line of the front axle is right around here, kind of at the front of this module right here, around the E of Porsche on the shroud. Much of the V6 is actually ahead of the front axle center line, but this is a front rear layout, front engine rear wheel drive chassis layout. So the transmission is behind, not next to the engine, and because this is a hybrid, we have a big battery pack in back, so weight distribution is actually pretty decent. And finally, windshield washer fluid is really easy to get to, right on the driver's side, near the firewall, all day easy. Looking at the Cayenne in profile, this looks pretty similar to the outgoing model, nothing hugely different compared to before, but I do think it is a generally nice shape, and I do like this standard white color. I think it contrasts the rest of the SUV nicely. I will go ahead and put dimensions up on the screen so you can check those out now and let you know that I have a lot more information in the description. Standard equipment on the 2024 Porsche Cayenne is this 20-inch wheel you see right here. You can go up to 22s, but this is the standard tire. And yes, even though this is a plug-in hybrid SUV, this is also a Porsche. We do have a staggered wheel set, 255 millimeter section width tires up front, but 295 millimeter section width tires in the rear. Looking at the rear of the car, I think this is a distinct improvement over the outgoing model. The tail lights are a simpler, cleaner line that do go the full width of the car, and we do have a new location for the license plate, kind of part of the bumper here. We do have the $660 optional trail hitch right there, and we do have dual exhaust tips, and these tips right here, they're not necessary, but they are real. They are connected to the actual mufflers themselves, so they're a little bit ostentatious, but you know, for a Porsche, it also kind of works. Open up the power lift gate, and that reveals 26 cubic feet of storage behind the second row. If you need more than 26 cubic feet of storage and only need room for you and one passenger, that's that easy to do. Pull a couple levers and you have 55 cubic feet of storage and room for you and a passenger. And despite being less room than many SUVs this size, I'd still say plenty of room for my bike, but let's find out. Easy, straightforward, plenty wide. Carrying a bike is no problem at all. All right, let's check out the inside. All right, I'm actually gonna start by starting the car because there's a couple things to show you with the engine running in back. Push button start on the left side, of course. Sport mode, so it's running. And the reason why I started the Cayenne was because we have this screen right here, which shows you that we have heated rear seats. And we have heated rear seats because I have the $3,280 premium package in this particular Cayenne. That's also what gives me adaptive cruise control, a Bose sound system, and this panoramic moonroof you see right here. And it is haptic touch, 3-stage heated seats right there. I am 5 feet 11 inches tall, and as you can see, I have plenty of knee room right here, a good 6 inches, I would say. I also have headroom, about an inch or so of headroom, and that's despite having the panoramic moonroof. I also have good thigh support because the seat bottoms are nice and high, and I also have less than a 90-degree bend in my knees. Oh yeah, a center armrest with cup holders. So yeah, life is good back here. You're looking at a $4,190 leather, black, and Bordeaux red interior. Yes, not cheap, but also quite fashionable. And that is on the door as well as your usual controls right here. This nice little polished metal look right there. We do have 3-position driver seat memory, and we have $1,300 14-way adjustable power seats. Standard seats are 8-way adjustable. We do have a couple of controls for the lights to the left of the steering wheel, including the start-stop button actually. And the steering is adjustable both tilt and telescope electrically right down here. The steering wheel itself is a nice thick rim with lots of controls on both the left and the right side. This is our drive mode select right here, and this is what Porsche calls the Porsche driver experience, is what handles your driving aids, adaptive cruise control, but also lane keep assist, that kind of stuff. We do also have paddle shifters, upshift on the right, downshift on the left, and we do also have a 12.6-inch fully digital instrument cluster, and right next to that, a 12.3-inch center display. Your Prindle is actually next to, not beneath the center display. You press for park, toggle down for drive, toggle up for reverse, and if you put it in reverse, that shows you your 360-degree surround camera view, which is always nice to see. Beneath that, we do have a wireless smartphone charger right there, and 2 more USB Type-C ports right there. Here's your standard 2-zone climate control right here. Standard equipment are heated front seats, but this Cayenne has the optional for $850 ventilated front seats as well. As you can see, the center display has a lot of options right here, an easy toggle to get to more options right down here, and you also have wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto as standard equipment. Down low, we do have this nice little tray right here, easy for smartphones, a couple of cup holders with another 12-volt cigarette style plug right here, and more storage down here. Looking up, we do have controls for lights and our panoramic moonroof right here, including an electric privacy panel. Lovely. All right, let's talk drive modes. We actually have several in the Porsche Cayenne. We have off-road, e-power, hybrid, then we have sport and sport plus. And we do also have an optional air suspension. We also have, as standard equipment, Porsche Active Suspension Management. So that means we have adjustable shock absorbers and adjustable ride heights built into the Cayenne. So even your base plug-in hybrid Cayenne can have a lot of sporting advantages compared to your run-of-the-mill SUV. Pretty slick. Something I'm looking forward to try out on the drive right now. So let's get back to the drive. All right, let's dig into the powertrain. where does 463 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque come from? Well, as you saw up front, it starts with a turbocharged 3-liter V6, and that is a single turbocharger twin scroll. It contributes 300 horsepower and 309 pound-feet of torque to the equation. However, that peak torque holds for 3,400 RPM, beginning at 1,400 RPM and holding to 4,800. The electric motor, on the other hand, on its own makes 174 horsepower, but 339 pound-feet of torque. That's right. The electric motor actually wins on peak torque. The V6 does deliver the most horsepower though, of course. And that's despite making less power than the same V6 in the base Cayenne and the Cayenne S e-hybrid. In those two iterations of Cayenne, the V6 makes 348 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. That's actually where the Cayenne S e-hybrid gets its horsepower and torque advantage. It makes 512 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque in total. That's true for the Cayenne Turbo e-hybrid as well, but a Turbo V8 helps to contribute 729 horsepower and 700 pound-feet of torque in total. As I mentioned, that electric motor gets its energy from a 25.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and that's an increase from a 17.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack that was used in the previous Cayennes, but only 21.8 kilowatt-hours of its capacity is used to elongate its battery life. Regardless, it's still worth 29 miles of electric-only driving range, and that's the official EPA number. Unofficially, the car told me that I had 46 miles of EV driving range when I had a full battery. And power does go to all four wheels. Every single Porsche Cayenne is all-wheel drive, hybrid or no. But even this base hybrid with this lower output V6 is still very, very good. And it's also very, very quiet. I'm actually in the sport driving mode right now, which means the V6 stays on and you can barely hear it. But when I floor the accelerator, you get good punch and good pull. Man, that is strong. Now, if I want it to be even more aggressive, get even more aggressive shifts, I can put it in the Sport Plus driving mode, floor the accelerator again, and yes, aggressive throttle, aggressive kickdown, and fast shifts. Man, this is a quick machine. And this is just one above the very base Cayenne too, on top of that. Now, of course, I can put it in the hybrid driving mode and things do settle down a bit. The chassis is a little calmer for sure. Floor the accelerator again. Yeah, I mean, it takes a little bit longer to kick down, but then you get the same potent thrust. This thing is quick, and with that electric motor to provide that much torque, you get response right away. Once the kickdown happens from the 8-speed, oh man, it's mighty. Now, I can go one step further and put it in e-power mode. Make this effectively an EV. Except that it's not, because you will drive around in EV only using the electric motor and energy from the battery pack unless you ask for full acceleration. I floor the accelerator, and the engine kicks on, and then the transmission kicks down, and there I go again, full power once again. Now, once everything calms down, the engine will kick right back off and it'll resume being an EV. Other systems, if you're in EV driving mode and then you floor the accelerator, it just shifts itself to the hybrid driving mode, not the Porsche. Porsche says, okay, you had a moment of excitement, now we're going back to being just an EV, engine is off again. And I have to say, I really like this powertrain and I really like this approach. It's just fast and it reacts to your inputs pretty darn quickly. Now, the transmission does take a couple moments to kick down, but there is one other way around that. I'll put it back in the sport driving mode, but I'll also use the paddle shifters. All right, now we'll get into a lower gear to start. Now I'll floor the accelerator. Yeah, really, really good. Now, it will still upshift on its own. Even if you're using the manual mode, it will still upshift. So it does not hold the gear for you. You don't have total control with the paddle shifters. but it's also a really effective, really fast shifting transmission, so I'm not going to complain that much. And when you do settle down and just drive calmly or normally, as many would say, you get fantastic fuel economy. If you start with a full battery pack, you will get 53 miles per gallon equivalent combined, and if it's depleted, you still get, for a vehicle this size, pretty darn reasonable 22 miles per gallon combined. Compare that to the new Cayenne's base V6, no hybrid, that gets 17 miles to the gallon in the city, 23 miles to the gallon on the highway, 19 combined. So the e-hybrid, even with a depleted battery, outperforms the base V6 for fuel economy. And that's despite weighing a lot more too. Of course, you saw the big smile on my face. It's a lot of fun accelerating in this Cayenne, but just how quick is it? What if it has a launch control? Of course I had to test that. Let me show you right now. All right, everybody, time for an acceleration test in this Cayenne e-hybrid. See what 463 horsepower and 479 pound-feet can do. I do also have a launch control, and I am in the Sport Plus driving mode, and I do have the stability control in Sport, so that should allow launch control to happen as best as it can. So let's see how it goes. Okay, coming to a complete stop. Foot hard on the brake, floor the accelerator. Launch control activated, off the brake. Oh man. Okay, early 1-2 shift. Oh, and 2-3 shift, but fast shifts. Man. Okay. 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 That's quick. That is quite quick, excuse me. I got pull right away. I got extremely fast shifts, punches it every time it shifted. They were a touch early though, but man, good power all the way throughout. Porsche says 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds in their base e-hybrid. And to be honest, I think it's quicker than that. All right, let's dig into the chassis. First of all, the chassis name, it is the E3.2. This is the refreshed 3rd generation chassis, so logical enough for me. And I mentioned at the top that Porsche did play with the chassis here. It's reasonably significant stuff here. First of all, standard equipment is Porsche Active Suspension Management, which is their name for adjustable shock absorbers, and those are standard equipment across the lineup. These are also 2-valve shock absorbers. So they have 2 different valves for the compression or pushing down and the rebound or coming back up part of the movement of the shock, and that allows really robust control of how the shock moves and helps have better control. Moreover, steel springs are standard for the Cayenne on the lower trims, but a $2,390 air suspension is optional, and this Cayenne has it, and that gives you more adjustability when you do the different drive modes and different ride heights as well. And to that end, we do have an off-road mode in the Porsche Cayenne were you to get a little bit adventurous in that direction. Another option on the Cayenne is rear axle steering, and for an SUV of this size, that particularly comes in handy for low-speed parking lot maneuvers. You have a much tighter turning radius as a result, and that definitely comes in handy. But if you're going quicker and your driving gets a bit spirited, it also aids in speeding up steering response and keeping the vehicle more stable as you're moving. So that can be helpful as well. And for people like me, it's really nice where Porsche falls on the ride versus handling spectrum. This definitely rides a bit on the firm side, even in the hybrid driving mode. But to me, it's still perfectly compliant over all the bumps and heaves in the road and imperfections. And yet, when you want to get moving, things firm up and give you really nice body control, really nice response to your inputs. It handles really well for something this size. But why should I just tell you that? Let me show you that. Of course I had to test the handling. Let's see that right now. All right, everybody. Time for a handling test in this plug-in hybrid, but also Porsche Cayenne. I do have it in the Sport Plus driving mode, and I do also have stability control in the Sport mode, so that should free things up a little bit. And we're gonna see how this adaptive shock absorber, air suspension, but also 5,400 pound nearly SUV feels when you're going through some corners. Yes, okay. Plenty of straight line speed, certainly. Oh, wow. Pretty well balanced chassis. Not much understeer there. And flat. Very little body motion. Wow. Oh, I'm impressed at how little body motion we're getting in this thing. And pretty darn good grip. These are Hankook tires on this Porsche Cayenne, and still we're getting pretty darn good grip. The steering is sharp too. Man, yeah, this is a great start. Yeah, good control over those whoops in the road too. Steering is the tiniest bit light. Yeah. Wow, that feels really well composed. That was good. The turn-in response was better than I expected. The Cayenne kind of darted towards the apex a little early because I didn't expect it to respond that quickly. This weighs 5,300 and I think 48 pounds. This thing weighs nearly 2 3/4 tons, and yet it feels alive and it reacts fast to my inputs. Having an air suspension and adaptive shock absorbers really do a wonder to keep this body controlled, keep it flat through the corners, and give you a lot of confidence as you're going through the corner. This was delightful. This was truly delightful to drive quickly around those corners, and I'm getting great fuel economy while I do it. Kinda. Getting to the more calm, mundane, necessary but a little bit boring parts of life, the ride again is perfectly fine, and that's true on roads like these and on the interstate. I did test it there as well. Let me show you that. All right, everybody, time for a quick stint on the interstate. I do have the Cayenne back in hybrid mode, and of course stability control is fully on as well, and time to go out and see how this feels on the open road. But first, I wanted to show you a couple of quick things about the cruise control in this new Cayenne. First of all, here's another look at the Porsche driver experience, this guy right here. You set the speed by lifting the toggle up or down. That increases speed by 1 mile/hour increments, but if you give it a firm press up, that increases speed by 5 mile/hour increments. Same for going down, tap, firm press. Also, you adjust distance with this guy right here, and that shows up even when you're not moving. We will set it to the minimum distance. Also, you can change the adaptive cruise control mode. Press this, and this screen pops up, and if you keep pressing it, you can choose amongst these options, including adaptive cruise control off. There's also one more button on the Porsche driver experience. This guy right here. This is your lane keep assist. So right now, you can see that it's off. There's that little cross right there. Hold this button down, and the cross goes away. When it's applicable, we now have lane keep assist. Speaking of this fully digital instrument cluster screen, it itself has a lot of options. You play with them right here. So if I press this button right here, you'll notice that there's this white rim that shines around the different gauges. So that side, left, center, right. And then you can use this toggle right here, and you can actually adjust what, my phone's not connected, that would connect your phone, and then fastest lap, different increments, fuel economy, that kind of thing, and a compass. So those are your options. On the right side, press it to go to the left, and you can choose between the speed limit, but also G, tire pressure, and battery levels. Back to speed for now. But if you go to the center, you can actually choose from several screens, so you can instead get 5 digital gauges or the assistant screen. And there's other choices as well, but I really want to show you the assistant screen while we're on the interstate, so let's do that now. All right, pulling on the interstate now. We do have a few standard driving aids. I'll go ahead and put those up on the screen right now, but the adaptive cruise control is part of that premium package that I talked about earlier, so that one is not standard. Okay, cruise control is set at 80 miles an hour to go with traffic. And at that speed, I actually don't know what the RPMs are, but the engine is very, very quiet, so it's not really that relevant. Also, we are coming up on a subtle curve right now, so I will take my hands off the wheel. And this is not a keep you in the center of the lane kind of system. This is more bumper bowling. This will push you back into the center of the lane if you start verging to the end of it, but it's not like Toyota or Lexus lane trace assist. And let me briefly show you what the assistant screen shows us. You can see right here that we've got a car in front of us, and it is right at the limit of the adaptive cruise control. That's that line. But it's not showing 3 lanes worth of traffic, just your single lane. So it's not as comprehensive as other systems, but you know, it's still nice to see what the car sees while you're driving. More fundamentally, in the hybrid mode, the ride is a bit on the firm side, but still plenty compliant for me and absorbing the bumps and the heaves in the road with no trouble at all. And road noise is pretty darn good as well. These hand-cooked tires are nice and quiet. But there is a little bit more of like traffic noise coming through, and I can hear just a little bit of wind noise come from the seams as well. So it's actually not the best at isolating the cabin compared to, say, the Mercedes-Benz GLE. But generally speaking, it's very comfortable. I've got a lot of really easy to read and use gauges, and the seats are very, very comfortable, not to mention awfully good fuel economy. So overall, yeah, this is a fantastic road trip car for both rows. The second row is comfortable as well. All right, what do I think of this updated 2024 Porsche Cayenne E Hybrid? I love it. I mean, I think it's fantastic. Now, it's not perfect, and it is for a certain set of buyers. First of all, it is not cheap, and there are more comfortable SUVs, plug-in hybrid SUVs. So if you want something that's more calming and comfortable, this probably isn't your first choice for that either, even if you have the means. But for those that really enjoy driving and really appreciate the experience of good responses to your inputs, even in a family SUV, the Porsche Cayenne delivers, and delivers in spades. This family-size SUV is fun to drive. And the fact that I can say that about something this big and heavy and fuel efficient thanks to its battery pack, yeah, that's rare. It's not just the performance of the drive, and it has that certainly, but it's the feel, it's the feedback, it's the engagement. This car is not intimidating to drive, even though it's so capable. And I just appreciate that about Porsches across the lineup. And here we are talking about this big Cayenne, this 5,300 plus pound machine, and yet it also delivers that experience. So no, this is not the quietest SUV you can buy. It's not the most serene. But in my personal opinion, even with the base hybrid powertrain, it is the most exciting. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you very much for watching.